Welcome back to chokitablemedia. Professor Patrice Lumumba was invited to lecture at the celebration of 65th birthday anniversary of Nigeria. And the title of the lectures was 2025 Independent Lecture and Award Night in Lagos State. This event is one of the events that Nigerians used to mark the 65th independence ceremony. What is the ceremony all about? It is when Nigeria gained independence from the colonialists, the British government. Present at the occasion are different type of elite, and all of them you will see in this video of mine. I want you to listen attentively to the delivery of the lecture, the content of the lecture, and the hope for the future and the plan that the colonialists had in mind before they left the African country, most especially Nigeria or most of the colonized countries in Africa. Listen attentively and get your pen to mark down date, event, and the solution on how Nigeria or Africa is going to be truly independent from the British colonialists or the French colonialists or the colonialists generally. Let's enjoy the lecture and work with it. Thank you for watching Chokitable Media.
Permit me to congratulate the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the occasion of her 65th birthday since she regained her independence from the British colonizers. It is a day that is worthy of reflection, and it is not lost on me that I have been asked to talk about Africa and Nigeria in that context. I speak at a time when it can be said that the continent of Africa is going through a midlife crisis. It is a midlife crisis that is punctuated by the dissatisfaction of young Africans who believe that the promises that were made by the founding fathers and founding mothers have not been fulfilled. It is a demonstration of the fact that there is a lot of work to be done. But it is on an occasion such as this that is also incumbent upon us to remember by a dint of history that the post-colonial African state, as we know them today, were designed to fail. In fact, it is true that the erstwhile colonizers, whether they are sitting in London, England, or in Paris in France, or in Madrid in Spain, or in Lisbon in Portugal, or in Brussels in Belgium, they are waiting for the African countries to collapse that they may write the obituary. The fact that we are here and celebrating 65 years since we regained our independence is a demonstration that we have refused to fulfill the prophecies of the colonizer turned neo-colonizer. But yet, it is also important to remind ourselves that the time has come when we can no longer afford the luxury of attributing our failures to colonization. We have had occasion to do many things, and indeed it can be said that we have done many things, but there is a sense in which we continue to punch below our weight. We must also remind ourselves that it is true that we are not the only peoples who are colonized. There are others who are colonized, others who we may describe as our colonial age mates, and for some reason they appear to be doing better than us. So on this occasion we must ask ourselves, what is it that we can do better? And the country that must ask that question more than any other country in the continent of Africa is the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The reason why she must do so is because out of every 5 Africans, 1 is a Nigerian. The reason why she must do so is because over 300 million people live within the territory of Nigeria. And I want to submit to Nigeria that the day you do your census properly, you will discover that you are actually 350 million. I look forward to that day when Nigerians will discover their number in this continent. And let us go down to history. Why are we assembled here? Are we assembled here simply because it is a jamboree at which we pat our backs? Are we assembled here simply to remind ourselves that 82 years ago, the Island Club was established? Are we assembled here merely to remind ourselves that 65 years ago, Nigeria regained our independence? Or we are assembled here to do all those, but also to ask difficult and uncomfortable questions? You know, when we talk about Africa, we must also and always remind ourselves that the Africa we are talking about is an Africa that is divided into 54 artificial nations. Some say 55. Some even say 56. Some even say more. But we must remember that as this club was being established in 1943, and the chairman has already said that it was the ground upon which courage was incubated. I want all of you who are present here to remember what the men and women who are assembled here were thinking about. In those days, when not every Nigerian could be allowed in these places. In those days, when Africans were considered to be children of a lesser God. In those days, when the British were quick to remind us that we were different because we were Hausa, because we were Fulani, because we were Yoruba, because we were Igbo, because we are Kalabari, and they were sowing the seeds of discord, that even when we regained our independence, we would not last for too long. We must ask ourselves what was going on in their minds. And those of you who are students of history will remember in 1945 in Manchester, in the United Kingdom, when Africans in the continent and those in the diaspora met for the first time and were talking about Pan-Africanism, Nigeria was ably represented in that forum by Obafemi Awolowo. And if you remember what he, among others, said during that period, he was reminding us that once we regained our independence, independence in and of itself was not sufficient. Independence was only going to be the beginning. The question is, did we begin well? Are we running well? Is there a promise for all of us? Is there something to celebrate or something to shout home about? These are the questions that must reside in our minds and in our hearts today. Those of you who are assembled here, when I was making my inquiries, I was told that you are some of the shakers and movers of Nigeria. The question that you must ask, what are you shaking and what are you moving? If you are shaking something, is it something that is going to benefit Nigeria? You must remember, is it your own Chinua Achebe who said that the man or woman who shakes the iroko tree only ends up shaking his buttocks? Is it your buttocks that are shaking or you are shaking Nigeria? These are the uncomfortable questions that you must face. And you know, as we are assembled here, there is a sense in which there is discomfort in the continent of Africa. We are assembled here in Nigeria, but Africa is not at ease. If you thought Africa was at ease, go to the Sahel. The insurgency is there. The young men and women who are dying on a daily basis. Africa is not at ease. Go to Sudan. There is war. Over 3.5 million internally displaced persons. Africa is not at ease. Go to Somalia. She's not at ease. Go to Central African Republic. She's not at ease. Go to the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. She's not at ease. Go to southern Cameroons in Ambazonia. She's not at ease. And even when there is no real war, no real conflict, as I speak to you now, for 4 days and 4 nights in Morocco, young men are in the streets. As I speak to you now, young men and young women are in the streets of Luanda in Angola. As I speak to you now, young men are uncomfortable. Something is happening. Not only here in Nigeria, there are places in northern Nigeria where there are no-go zones. That is the reality. So we may sit in the comfort of island club, but this is just but an island. The reality is that it is an island in a sea of sorrow and desperation. The question is, beyond the lamentations, what can we do? We have lamented for too long. We have agonized for too long. Our young men and women are asking, what will we give them? The average age in this assembly, I suspect, is about 55. Our young men and women are not present in this assembly. They'll only watch on television. Where is the baton that we are going to pass over to them? Where is the united country that we are going to pass over to them? What are we doing in our health sector? As a young person, when we read about Nigeria, I read about the University of Ibadan, the University of Nigeria at Nsukka. And I remember those days. People would come from the Arab world to be treated at Ibadan. Today, when a Nigerian with an ability or an African with ability, depending on who colonized you, you run to hospitals in London or Paris or New York or lately Dubai and India. Yet in the intervening period, we have produced doctors in the thousands. Where did we go wrong? Today, as you drive across the continent of Africa, we may talk about the good roads, and I saw some beautiful roads in Akwa Ibom in Uyo. Beautiful. But who constructed them? If it is not Chinese, it is Europeans. In the intervening period, we have produced civil engineers whom, if you do not address as an engineer, he'll have a quarrel with you. What became of us? These are the questions which are uncomfortable, but we must ask. I'm booked in a hotel room here in Lagos. When I look at the free water that is given to me, bottled water, it is Evian, a product of Coca-Cola in Lagos, Nigeria, Africa's greatest country, even water. And it's not only in Nigeria, it is in Nairobi, Kenya, it is in Accra, Ghana, it is everywhere, even water, 65 years after independence. When I ask for coffee, I get coffee Nescafe from little Switzerland. That is the state in which we are.
Thank you for watching. Watch out for the second part of this lecture. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Put on your notification button and put your comment down there in the comment section. God bless you as you do. See you next time. Bye for now.